Hi folks, welcome back to the Lowland League Catchup. Again, it's myself, Derek, in the hot seat, and I'm joined once again by Shaun. How you doing, mate?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. I'm a bit worse for wear, to be honest. I stayed up and watched obviously we're recording this on Sunday afternoon. Stayed up and watched the Wilder Fury fight last night, so I'm a bit tender this morning, but I'm starting to feel a bit better and ready to go. I'm sure this will wake me up a little bit.
I'm obviously
What
getting
about
old
yourself?
because I couldn't handle staying up for it. I watched it in the morning instead, got an early night. But
Don't blame you.
we'll get to it later on, but I was licking my wounds a wee bit after the results that came in on Saturday. But without further ado, we'll get straight to it. You're listening to Lowland League Catch-Up, proudly sponsored by the Soccer Shop Direct. For all your sports teamwear and equipment needs, head to @thesoccershopd on Twitter. So we'll start off with Cumbernauld Colts at home to University of Stirling. And this one was one where we just couldn't pick between us last week when we had the chat on, kind of looking ahead. And it turned out to be quite a tight game. Colts ultimately running out 2-0 winners. So it started off the 8th minute with Colts actually on the defensive. Fry making a good save with his leg as Uni kind of cut right through them at the start. But Colts took the lead in the 12th minute. Stephen O'Neill beating the offside trap, crossing for Billy Mortimer to head home on his Colts debut. Straight afterwards, Stirling tried to hit back, and it was a cross-come shot from Angus Mailer that skimmed the crossbar, so it was very nearly level pegging. And despite Colts taking the lead, it did seem that the Uni were more in the ascendancy. Won a second corner from a deflected shot from Downey. From it, Doan nearly got his head to it. A ball right back in, found quickly at the back post, but he steered it wide when it might have been easier to stick the ball in the back of the net. And they were made to rue that chance because 32 minutes on the clock, it was 2-0 to Colts. Stephen O'Neill providing another assist, slotting through, and this time it was Dundee loanee Mikey Cunningham putting it past the keeper. So half time, Stirling Uni were unlucky, perhaps not to get something for the chances they'd created, but Colts were clinical, still out to play for in the second half. There was actually a change of goalkeeper at half time, which figured into it later on. So Xander Kilchrist came on to replace Johnny Greer in nets. And again, Stirling started the second half well, lots of possession. The end product not quite there though. Fry got his fist to a Colts free kick from distance on the 62nd minute. And then 20 minutes left, Burrows won a corner for Uni. And the second ball, there was a good chance, but Berry didn't catch the volley cleanly when there was an opening for them to hit the target and test the keeper. A few minutes later, best chance yet for the Uni. Heath finding Downey, ball bouncing around the box, and the shot eventually went just wide of the target. And the reason I said the keeper would factor in, just in the final minute of the 90, penalty save from Xander Gilchrist coming on at half time because Heath was pushed over in the box for the penalty. Brown stepped up and Gilchrist did the business. So he was there when he was needed, and it ended up 2-0. Could have been anything if that penalty went in. A frantic last few minutes of injury time, but as it was, there was a lot put into the game from Uni, but the same old story of not really finding the target in the end. It's been that way in recent weeks. Colts were absolutely clinical with the chances they got, and obviously we'll say this for every game I'm sure, but the conditions were horrendous again, so really tough for both teams. They've made a right fist of it, and ultimately you've got to give credit to Cumbernauld because this is the point in the year where we are normally talking about them slipping off a bit. If anything, they're picking up at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I think Colts seem to be doing a decent job of stringing a few results together at the moment. They've they slipped up with a visit from Spartans a wee bit a few games ago, but other than that, they're managing to start producing a few decent results, including obviously that 7-1 win against Fair Leaving that's kind of kick-starting them a little bit. I think 8th position, given some of the up and down sort of results they've had this season, something they'll be relatively pleased with. They're well out of that relegation battle, but they've still got a wee bit of work to do if they do want to push a wee bit further up the table. Colts are a proper community club. They do a lot at all levels, and this is, I think that's going to be kind of a position they're going to be quite comfortable with at this point in the season. It's good to see Stephen O'Neill still, doing what he's done for the last few years at Colts. He's either seems to be involved in near enough every goal, whether it's an assist or finding the back of the net himself. Despite changes, we obviously the likes of Shaun Brown going at the beginning of the season. We weren't sure how that would affect him, but he's making other partnerships all over the pitch, which is brilliant to see. A bit disappointing for Stirling Uni, like you say. They're having a wee bit of a tough running form at the moment. I think they had some decent results there where they were picking up some sort of games, perhaps wins that they weren't perhaps meant to get. Looked like they were on the ascension a little bit, but they're struggling a little bit, and it's a shame to see them struggling a wee bit with the penalties again, because that was something that kind of held them back last season. But no, overall, if we were to listen back, I'm not too sure if we would even pick a win for this one, because Colts can be a bit unpredictable. But I think Colts at home, they'll be quite happy if taking the 3 points in this one.
Definitely. As you say, it must be frustrating for Stirling Uni. I did hear Chris Geddes in his comments after the game, and that's kind of what was coming across, just frustration at missed chances, and that's been a few weeks in the trot now that he's had those kind of feelings coming through. But there's a little kind of group now, if you look at the league, the mid-table group, anywhere from, you could even throw Spartans in 5th in, but kind of Strollers in 6th all the way down to Gala in 12th, who are all pretty safe unless something drastically changes, but at the same time they're not really pushing to get in the top, say, 3-4. So it's a really interesting group of teams in there that they're all ambitious sides, and they'll all be looking to basically get bragging rights and secure a top half finish before jumping into next year.
Yeah, and it's dead. When you look at that league table, it's dead unpredictable to kind of try and figure out where realistically teams are sitting, because there's a huge disparity in the number of games played. So I think there's going to be, we're going to see a lot of movement as we sort of close in towards the end of the season with teams playing their games in hand. As we close into towards the end of the season, it's going to be really interesting to see what the final table looks like compared to where we're sitting just now.
Definitely. Side point, if you want to have a look at the fixtures, they are all out, all the rearranged fixtures on obviously the team's own websites and the SLFL website as well. But we'll get into the next game. And do you want to take us through Berwick at home to Edinburgh University? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So a huge day for Berwick Rangers, obviously doing their community day, free entry for people in attendance, and they were doing a bit of fundraising for the 1881 fund. But overall, I think they'll be putting it down as a huge success. Their attendances was up by about 200, with 556 in attendance for the game, and they were able to raise 1,350 towards that 1881 fund, which is it's fantastic for the club, and something that I'm sure they'll be celebrating over the next couple of weeks, because it's certainly something they were definitely hyping up in the build up to this one. And I suppose quite importantly, they were able to pull off a decent result against an Edinburgh Uni side that can prove difficult, especially on the road. So we'll run through that game just now. So the ball was laid off to Dick on the edge of the box early on, but his shot went over the bar, keeping the score at 0-0. There was a vital interception by Thompson, preventing a good opportunity for Edinburgh Uni to take the lead in the first half as well, keeping it at 0-0. Ali Smith had a deflected effort held by the keeper, and we were able to see Parvs look to get behind, but his shot was also blocked. The attack continued, but there was a further shot is blocked, and there was appeals from the Berwick players for a penalty for handball, but the referee disagreeing with that one meant that they went into half time at 0-0. It was a bit of a scrappy first half, neither keeper having too much to do, a few vital saves in there, but as they started the second half, it was all neck and neck and all still to play for. Edinburgh Uni were able to have the ball in the net pretty early on, but the linesman had the flag up to take that goal back off of Edinburgh Uni and keep the scores at 0-0. Barr had another effort from the edge of the area with his left foot this time, but that went over the bar. Looking as if as the second half went on that we were going to see the points shared in this one, But there was a goal for Berwick. It was a great ball in from the right. Callum Smith that was able to rise up and head the ball into the far corner to give Berwick the 1-0 lead. And then not too long after that, potentially an own goal, but Hamish Thompson looked to be the last Berwick player to touch it at the far front post from the corner. So yeah, maybe an own goal, but Hamish Thompson looked to be the last Berwick player to touch it at the front post from the corner to give Berwick the full share of the points with a 2-0 win there. Goals from Callum Smith and Hamish Thompson, the difference between the two sides in a very blusterish Shielfield Park in that one. So yeah, I think Berwick, turning their community day into a success. They've managed to pull in those extra supporters, the extra attendance there, and they're obviously wanting those fans that have made the effort to come out, support their community day, to go home quite pleased with seeing their side take the 3 points, and they were able to do that. For Edinburgh Uni, the frustration continues. Perhaps, it was away from home against still an experienced Berwick side that, only last season were playing in SPFL 2. But still, they're going to be a bit disappointed because any points for Edinburgh Uni at this stage in the season, with how close it is at the bottom of that league, are massive. So they're going to be undoubtedly disappointed, I think, to have gone home with no points in this one.
Absolutely, especially given that they were right in this one, and they'll probably feel like they've dropped a right good chance to get not just a draw but a win there, you'd think as well. But you've got to, firstly, we've already given Berwick credit for the day itself, the community day and so on. That's actually the top attendance in non-league as far as I'm aware for the whole season. So a great effort from the club and obviously everyone involved with arranging the day itself. I suspect that attendance record will be broken in the next few weeks again as we start seeing the top two in the league facing each other. But obviously a fantastic effort. They've got the result they wanted, because it might have put a bit of a damp squib on it if they hadn't got the win. But the other thing, it's good to see Callum Smith getting on the score sheet, because he's had a decent start to his Berwick career. He's not been rewarded with a goal up to this point, but he's quite an intelligent front man, and he's got a little something about him. I quite like to look at him when Berwick played BSC recently. So it was a decent header as well. I've seen the video is on Berwick's Twitter if anyone wants to go and look it out. Just a very kind of clever guided header into the far post from a very decent ball in as well. And the Uni defenders just looked absolutely disconsolate when it went in. It was almost like they kind of knew at that point, going behind, that things weren't going to go their way, which is never good to see when you're a team clawing for every point you can get at the bottom of the table. But it's kind of, I think, again, what we predicted in that one, in terms of Berwick taking the spoils. You get anything to add to that?
No, just having a wee look at Edinburgh Uni, because that wee battle between the four teams at the bottom, definitely something that's going to be interesting as we build to the end of the season. It's worth noting that Edinburgh Uni, out of those four sides, they've played the most games after this weekend.
Yep.
They've played 24. They've only got 6 games left, and if you have a little look at their run up to the end of the season, they've still got to play East Kilbride, Kelty Hearts and BSC Glasgow in the next 3 fixtures, which are by no means going to be an easy run of fixtures for any side, I suppose. So yeah, they've definitely got their hands full. They're in a decent place just now, though, sitting 3 points ahead of Vale Leaving, who are at the bottom of the league at the moment, and they've got that goal difference advantage over Dalbeattie Star. So perhaps these games against East Kilbride, Kelty Hearts and BSC Glasgow, that goal difference could play a huge part. The 3 points, probably a lot to ask for the Edinburgh Uni side. They might be able to pinch a point in those, but I suppose one of their main goals over those 3 games is going to be, keeping the goal difference down, if that's fair to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously there is the outside chance that 2 teams can go down as well, depending on what happens in the playoffs. So ultimately, when there's 4 teams fighting, you want to be on the right side of that dividing line between the 4. And with those 3 next games, you don't expect them to really get any points the way things are going. So it's vital, you'd say, that Dorian gets the boys well drilled and maybe try and steal a point off one of those three sides at the kind of the upper echelons of the standings as well.
No, absolutely.
But that leads us into a game that I didn't really want to cover, I'll be honest. East Kilbride at home to BSC Glasgow in a rematch at the cup replay from the cup game from not too long ago, and it didn't really go the same way as it went the last time. Kilby running out comfortable 4-0 winners. So started off just with 4 minutes on the clock. David Brownlee finishing past Ryan Marshall after a really nice ball in. And on 6 minutes it was 2-0, so it was just immediately Kilby taking BSC apart. Shaun Winter lobbing Marshall. There was a big shout for offside, but the flag stayed down, and yeah, it was one-way traffic the whole first half, to be honest. 11 minutes in, there was another free kick for Kilby in the edge of the box. Gibbons' strike going just over the bar. That was just a kind of sight of things to come though. In 16, Rory Payton twisting and turning tried a low strike across the face of the goal, but just went wide. Bear in mind the full first half they did have the wind behind them as well, which also didn't help BSC trying to get back some momentum into the game. 21 minutes and the wind actually caught a long ball forward from McGinley. Ross Smith pulled Drew Payton to the ground in the box. Penalties Kilbride and a red card for big Ross Smith, and that essentially ended it as a contest because Craig Malcolm converted the resultant penalty. Marshall almost got his hand to it, but it just didn't quite stretch enough. 3-0 Kilby, and on the half hour mark it kind of summed up the way things were going. The wind caused absolute havoc. Marshall tried a goal kick and it hung in the air basically like it went in the orbit and came right back towards the penalty box. So it was one of those days. In truth, Kilby, not just with the wind, were by far the better side, looked completely different to the team that had played BSC previously, playing as Michael said, with fluidity and freedom. Shaun Winter hit the bar with a diving header towards the closing stages of the first half as well. So pretty comprehensive 3-0 lead at half time. BSC made a couple of changes into the second half, but it didn't really change things because 4 minutes into the second half it was 4-0. Shaun Winter had a speculative strike from outside the box that the wind managed to get to, and it beat the keeper. The actual first chance it landed for BSC was in the 54th minute. Declan Hughes floating a corner over. Ross McMillan got up to attack it, but headed it narrowly over. A couple of minutes later, Mackay got the ball in the wing, found Martin Green with a cross, and McGinley held the header well. But it kind of petered out as a contest after that. 15 minutes left. Declan Hughes had a free kick on the edge of the Kilby box. McGinley managed to palm it away well. And in the last 10 minutes, Robbie McNabb had a strike fired from the edge of the box, again for BSC. McGinley spilled it, but no one there was there to follow up, and he gathered it back in at the second attempt. So, a pretty routine in the end 4-0 win for a Kilby side that we kind of suspected might be a wee bit at 6s and 7s, but they've obviously bonded really well under Malks basically standing in as interim gaffer. Anyone that doesn't know, with Kilby doing their managerial search now, they lost their interim manager because of that. Essentially they said that the interim management team were not going to get considered, so Patterson and Shanks moved on. And yeah, Craig Malcolm stepped up with a couple of other senior heads in the dressing room, and they've bonded, they've united, and they've pulled out an absolutely fantastic result ultimately.
Yeah, I think when you're playing against 10 men for 70 minutes, it certainly helps, but it by no means guarantees you a 4-0 win, let alone a win at all, because sides can still perform really well when they're down a man. Sometimes it can actually sort of galvanise a side. So I think East Kilbride still deserve a lot of credit for being able to win this one as sort of comfortably, I suppose, as they could have. It's going to be a bit of a sore one, I think, for BSC. Coming off the highs of their cup run there, getting back to league action, and essentially I think they've dropped points here in a game that they really should have won. But that's not to take anything away from East Kilbride. I'm sure the guys, they'll be at East Kilbride, they'll be going back to the locker rooms. I don't think it's going to be bottles of champagne and jumping about the place. It's one win there, but it's something for them to build on and to start getting a bit of pride back at K Park. And if we can string a few of these results together, it's probably, it can only help with that search for a new first team manager. If they can see that they've got something to work with there, they can look at this and see the 4-0 win against the side that just made it to a decent run in the Scottish Cup and played against Hibs and had a respectable game there. They can see there that the players at East Kilbride, there's some good players there, they're able to pull off some decent results, so it's only going to help them with their search for a new first team manager. BSC on the other hand, we kind of discussed it last week about their sort of positioning in the league and they're kind of pushed to still be in contention. Obviously this is a big blow for BSC, dropping the 3 points at this point in the season, especially when they've got a few big games coming up. I don't know if you've had I don't know how much you've looked at BSC's fixtures for towards the end of the season, but they've got a lot of games in hand. I think they've got about 7 games to play in March, that's a tremendous workload for any team. I think as somebody who, you obviously cover the league with us, but you're quite close to BSC. What do you think the feeling is with BSC as they head into that run up of games in March?
Well, I think this game is really going to refocus minds. So it might not be the worst thing in the world, to be honest, that we've come off the high of the cup run and obviously the big game with Hibs and everything that went with that, all the media coverage and all that, and gone back to league business and been taught a lesson. Essentially, let's be honest, a 4-0 loss is a tough one to take. I've said for a while now, and obviously I've been given a bit of stick for Rose and their fans for saying it, but no quite fair game mind games. I was just saying I didn't see us getting in the league title challenge. I think it's all but dead now after that game because BSC basically had to win every single game they're running. So I think success now, knowing Swifty, he will not let anyone rest in their laurels. They will be right back to business training this week, and he will expect to finish as high up that table as humanly possible. I think the way it'll play out, I'd expect a third place finish at least for the guys, and that would be a pretty good season all told. But yeah, there could still be a massive say in this title race for BSC, even if we're not the team holding aloft the trophy at the end of the time, because still got Kelty home and away. Already played Bonnyrigg home and away and split the spoils there. 2 wins, 1 apiece. If BSC end up taking points off Kelty, suddenly Bonnyrigg Rose are looking very, very strong. And vice versa, if Kelty get to 6 points, suddenly it's them that are looking really strong. So we're going to have a massive part to play in this run-in, but it's a lot of games. It's 10 league games between now and the end of the season to fill in, which is more than any other side. So there's going to have to be some squad rotation thrown in as well, and who knows what that's going to end up looking like. But I've got full faith in the management team that standards are not going to slip. You can guarantee that.
No, absolutely. So you obviously touched a bit on the Kelty Rose battle there. That brings us on to the next game, I suppose. Kelty were off this weekend, and Bonnyrigg Rose had an opportunity to close the gap playing one of their games in hand against the Cali Braves. So I'll run you through that one just now. So early on there was a great save from Marsh to deny Bonnyrigg Rose's Hunter and keep the scores at 0-0, and then 8 minutes later at the other end of the pitch it was a great save from Ross McNeil. A great save from a Ross McNeil effort bound for goal. McGawkey takes the ball on a run from the halfway line and draws a good save from Marshall on the 25th minute, and 10 minutes later the weather is shocking, and yeah, the Bonnyrigg Twitter guy citing it was making it very, very difficult to keep updates going, but there was still no goals. 2 minutes later, however, Brown takes the ball down the left wing, passes back to Curry, who crosses into the box, and Dean Brett takes it on the fly and blasts it into the top corner to give Rose a 1-0 win. And 2 minutes later, there was another goal, immediate replay from the home side via a wind-assisted free kick from Sinclair to make it 1-1. A lot of action there within a short period of time from a Twitter guy who was struggling to get updates out given the weather. I think both sides, taking note of that and making him work, because 3 minutes later, and it was another goal. This time it was Moyes regains the lead for Rose via a header from a Curry free kick to give Rose the 2-1 lead heading into half time. Rose went out playing with the wind behind them for the second half, and there was a big chance 10 minutes into the second half from Hunter to extend the lead, but Marshall does well to stand tall when faced with the 1-on-1. There was a goal shortly after that though. Braves break up the pitch with Rose in possession, and Sinclair scores his second from an effort outside the box to make it 2-2. Definitely putting up a brilliant fight here and making it a really close game as we headed into the last half an hour. And on the 60th minute, from a Curry corner, the ball, it was put goalward. It comes off something, could have been a post, but it stays out and keeps the score at 2-2 there. The 77th minute, that vital fifth goal of the match came when Curry's free kick came into the box and falls to Bauer, who strokes it home on the volley like a striker, and the defender there giving Rose a 3-2 win over Cali Braves. Not an easy place to go. Bonnyrigg Rose going down there and doing the business, and kind of doing it in Bonnyrigg Rose fashion, with getting a winner in the last 10 minutes to give themselves the 3 points and essentially keep the pressure on Kelly as we're heading towards the end of the season. For Cali Braves, they're obviously in the midst of that mid-table battle at the moment. Perhaps be a bit disappointed, but there's not much between Cali Braves sitting in ninth place and Stroller sitting up in sixth. So there's still all to play for those guys who have got 5 games left in the league. What did you make of this one? It was a good effort there by Cali Braves, but Rose, essentially doing what I think we thought they were going to do and bringing the 3 points home.
I think you've summed it up pretty well. That Braves always seem to give themselves a chance in these bigger games, and they always seem to find themselves in the score sheet as well. They've been quite impressive this year, but Rose have just got this inner ability, seemingly when they're drawing a game and it's approaching the last 15 minutes, they just grind it, and they always seem to find a way of finding a winner. And that generally is the form of champions. So it's really interesting to see how this all plays out as we get to the latter stages of this season. Given that, Kelty's only got 7 games left, Rose have only got 8 games, and they're neck and neck. They're going to be levelling points if Rose win their game in hand. But you've just got to give Bonnyrigg all the praise in the world just now, I think, because there's such a tight-knit group of players that are fighting for each other, finding ways to win, getting over every challenge that's put in front of them. And Big Bauer at the back has been fantastic for them this year. I was really impressed with him the couple of times I've seen him now. He's just a really classy big centre-back, and his goal sums him up. That he's not your old-school centre-half that just clears the ball anywhere as soon as it comes near him. He's got a right good touch, and he's got quite a classy pass, and he's obviously got a finish on him as well. So he'll have a big part in Rose's title challenge. There's no doubt about that. As will the likes of Hunter and McGahey and all that. But it sounds like it was a pretty deserved result over the piece, and I've seen a few of the video highlights as well. Rose did seem to have the majority of the play generally. So as disappointed as Braves will be not to get the result, they're comfortably mid-table and they've got every chance at pushing on and finishing in that top half. They're only just outside the top half as things stand. And their eyes will be on next season already in terms of how do we take the next step and get involved in the upper echelon of the league. Because ultimately their aim, as with pretty much every side, is to progress up to the SPFL. But they've not been shy about talking about it compared to other sides. I think it's safe to say Chris Shaun being quite an ambitious guy. So They might well be looking at Bonnyrigg as an example, given that Rose might be the team in the playoffs this year, assuming they can get the better of Kelty. And if they don't, if it is Kelty that end up doing it, Rose are going to be right in with a shout again next year. There's no doubt about that, because they're the kind of side that will retain their big players and just continue building.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think, I think you've hit the nail on the head with your sort of wrap up of both those teams. Cali, they're going about as an organisation, they're going a little bit different, down a different route to other teams, so they're quite open in what their ambitions are and how they're hoping to get there, which is obviously really interesting for fans, and it definitely makes our job a bit easier. And Rose have done exceptionally well. They had some momentum when they came into this league. They'd just been promoted. It was the same group of players. They had that little bit of extra energy that you're going to get from winning a league, I think, but they've maintained that for the entire season. They've been consistent from start to finish, and they're very deserving to be where they are at this point in the season, which is fantastic to see. I think all that's sort of left to do, I think, is to have a wee run through the upcoming fixtures, and weather permitting, we've got all 16 teams in action, and we've got a wee midweek fixture coming up as well, don't we?
We do indeed, and fingers crossed, I say this, having been questioned on my pronunciation, or Kiara or Kira, whatever it was the storm was, fingers crossed they're easier to say as the next ones come along, because Dennis was easy enough. But it looks as if we're going to have a clear weekend, he says, hopefully. Do you want to run us through the fixtures there, Shaun?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a midweek game to kick us off as Civil Service Strollers are welcoming that galvanised East Kilbride side that are coming off of that big 4-0 win there. Games at Christy Gillis Park. Civil Service Strollers weren't in action this weekend, so they'll be well rested for this midweek fixture. Could potentially give them the edge. Pretty tricky one to call, I think, for myself, with the fact that East Kilbride are they're going to have a wee bit of momentum behind them, but I think with Civil playing at home and the fact that they are going to be well rested, I think I'm going to give the edge to Civil in this sort of midweek fixture. How do you see it going?
It's interesting, because I would always go with Kilby, I think, with the momentum. I think the boost they're going to get off that result is massive, especially with things changing and a new gaffer coming in. I just can't see past Kilby in that game. I think, obviously, it's going to be a different scenario. It's going to be a wet grass pitch. They've got to travel midweek for it. But, yeah, I can't really see past Kilby in that one, to be honest.
No, I think that's totally fair, and I won't be surprised to see East Kilbride go there and take the 3 points. For me personally, I just think the weekend off is going to give Strollers the edge, I think, and they're both two really good sides. Next up, we're going to have a Friday night game. BSC looking to bounce back from that game there against East Kilbride at the weekend. They're welcoming Cumbernauld Colts, a side that are also, they're capable of pulling off some upsets themselves. I think BSC Glasgow are going to bounce back from their sort of hangover this at the beginning of the week. What about yourself? Are you backing your side to be able to go out and sort of turn it around a little bit?
I'd be surprised if there wasn't a much improved performance, put it that way. Although, bear in mind, the reverse fixture here, Colts actually won way back in the first few weeks of the season. And it was a kind of story of BSC missing chances and Colts taking them, which is eerily, vaguely kind of familiar to what Colts have just done at the weekend against Stirling Uni. So, as much as I would expect a BSC win here, I'm not taking it as a given. Colts are in decent form. They're kind of finding their stride and they're finding their comfort level. It should be a really decent Friday night game. But I would give the kind of edge to BSC being the home side there. But that also leads us into another Friday night game, doesn't it?
Yeah, Ainsley Park's the site of the second Friday night fixtures, with Spartans welcoming that relegation battle side Vale Leithen. They're going to make the trip up to play under the lights. A huge game again for Vale, and I suppose for Spartans. I mentioned it last week. Their game, I think, this weekend was postponed, so they've had a wee bit of rest. But their form's been pretty solid, to be honest. They've been getting stronger over the last few weeks, and I think that momentum's going to carry on. And for Vale, even if they can pinch a point in this one, it'll be a huge point for them. But I do think Spartans, the way they're playing just now, the fact that they're home, they playing on a Friday night, it's a different kind of game as well. And Spartans have a lot of experience playing under those conditions, and it's a good wee trip for Vale Leithen up on a Friday night as well. After, you've got to remember that this is it's no full-time teams, so these are guys that are going to have likely been working on the Friday. They've then got to make the trip away up to Ainsley Park. It's going to be a tough one for Vale Leithen, and I think Spartans should be able to win it relatively comfortably.
I'd go with that. I'd give the preference to Spartans. I think they played really well recently against Kelby as well, didn't they? Sorry, not Kelby, Kelty. So yeah, I think they've gradually been improving. They don't really have as much kind of goal scoring in the team, but Jack Smith's now back, which will help that. Goal scoring threat, I should say. But no disrespect to Vale, but I can't see anything other than a Spartans winning that game.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and that sort of takes us on to our Saturday night fixtures with another one of those teams doing battle at the bottom of the league. Dalbeattie Star this time welcoming that Berwick Rangers side. It's not too long a trip for the Berwick side to make, so they'll potentially be taking along a couple of those new fans that they were able to round up on the weekend there. I think it's a big game for both sides. I'm not going to repeat everything I've just said for Vale, but it more or less stands for Dalbeattie. Any point's a massive point at this point in the season, and for Berwick Rangers, yeah, it was a huge weekend for them, and momentum plays a massive part, I think, for any side, especially at this level. So they'll be looking to build on that a little bit. And I think Berwick, it's not easy to go Elcroft, but I think Berwick, I have to give them the advantage here. But I think they'll need to watch themselves, because if they're not careful, they could end up just losing one to the Dalbeattie Star, and Dalbeattie going away with 3 points. But I'm going to give the edge to Berwick. What do you think?
This is a game I've had my eye on for a few weeks now. I fancy Dalbeattie to take something off of Berwick, and I don't know why. It's not really based on logic or in results, but something just tells me that at this time of year, when it's all on the line, Dalbeattie's got a right tight-knit group of boys there. Islecroft's never an easy place to visit. We know teams like Kelty and so on don't like visiting it. I fancy Star to at least get a point now.
Yeah, that's fair. And I totally agree. Islecroft's not an easy place to go, 100%. That brings us on next to East Stirlingshire, who are welcoming Cali Braves along to Falkirk Stadium. So, yeah, Cali Braves with an impressive game there against Bonnyrigg Rose, unable to sort of do the business and come away with any points, but it was still a very gallant effort from those guys. Shire, obviously a really, really strong side, especially when they're playing at home. I think Cali Braves are going to put up a respectable fight again in this one, but I think Shire are probably going to prove too strong, and I think I'm going to give them the edge by a couple of goals.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Shire's in really good form, so I think it's justifiable to make them favourites in this one. I think with the pitch there, that'll suit Cali Braves as well in the style they play, so it might level things up a wee bit, that the kind of wide open plastic pitch isn't going to be an issue for them in their kind of style, whereas it does affect other teams that go and visit Shire. But yeah, I think East Stirlingshire win by a couple of goals there.
Yeah, totally think we're on the same page with that one. Next up, we've got that Edinburgh Uni side. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but they're one of the sides that are in that battle at the bottom of the league. They're welcoming that East Kilbride side that, yeah, they're quite got a decent bit of momentum behind them after that big game. I'll try and not mention that too much more, to be honest. But it's a lot of games for East Kilbride to play over a short period of time. There's going to be a third game in over the 8 days, and it's going to be a trip along to Peffermill for this one. However, I just think they're going to be a bit too strong for Edinburgh Uni in this one, and I sort of echo what I said earlier. For Edinburgh Uni, it's going to be all about that goal difference because they've got the advantage in the goal difference field at the moment. So I think they'll want to keep that down to a minimum. And if we can pinch a goal and take a point away in this one, they'll be quite happy. But I think East Kilbride might prove a wee bit too strong.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The other side note on that one is, if I remember rightly, the application process closes on the Friday before the game for the new manager. There's a chance that there could be the potential management team watching that, and I suspect all those boys will want to impress. So I'd quite heavily back Kilby in that game.
Brilliant. Next up, we've got Gallagher Rovers welcoming another Edinburgh side, Civil Service Strollers, along to the Netherdale. Be a challenging game for both sides. Civil playing midweek, obviously, and then making the trip down to Gala is going to add a little bit of pressure to this one. I think this one, it's one of the harder games for me to call, because I think both sides are capable of doing the business on their day. So I think I'm going to go down the middle, sit on the fence a little bit with this one and see a draw.
Side note, the longest video printer game in Scottish football this weekend, and probably the whole season. It's a tough one, isn't it? It's really tough to call. I think I'll sit on the fence as well. Gala at home, I've got every shot, but it's too close to call, that one. I think sitting on the fence for my own safety more than anything else.
So we're going to do a wee skip of the alphabetic layout of these games next, and we'll talk about University Stirling welcoming Gretna 2008 along to Forthbank Stadium. Gretna, they've done relatively well after they made those managerial changes a month or so ago. University Stirling, they've been struggling a little bit. You'd kind of fancy Gretna to be able to go here and maybe pinch something given the current form. But with that same sort of breath, I would have to say you'd expect at some point University Stirling are going to make a bit of a statement and show that they're a bit better than their recent form shows. And this could be a great opportunity for them to do that. I think I'm going to give the edge to University of Stirling. Agree or disagree?
I'm going to sit on the fence, but it's a massive game for Gretna. An absolutely massive game for Gretna. Because they'll see that. I've got no doubt Rowan will see that as 3 points. Massive opportunity right there. With the way Uni have been recently, and they've not really been converting their chances. The flip side of that is Chris Geddes will have his boys looking at it going, right, let's get back to business. We had a really good kind of first half of the season. Last few games we've started tailing off a wee bit, and old habits kind of come seeping back in terms of not taking chances and getting punished for it. I think that could be a cracking game for the neutrals as well, if you're in the Stirling area, but I'm going to go with the draw, sit on the fence.
That's fair enough. I do think it'll go either way, but I'm going to give edge to University of Stirling because I think they're going to want to make a bit of a statement here. But absolutely valid points there about Gretna and the fact that it's a massive game for those guys. And that brings us up, I suppose, to a game that could be the game of the week. We'll have to see how it plays out. But we've got Kelty Hearts welcoming Bonnyrigg Rose along to New Central Park. A clash, highly anticipated clash between the two sides at the top of the Lowland League. It's a home game for Kelty Hearts. I think that's going to give them the edge, but by no means it's going to be an easy game for those guys. Kelty, they've had a few changes in personnel as the season's gone on. I think the side are starting to gel. They've got a bit of depth there as well, which I think could give them a bit of an advantage. But I think this is going to be even for a neutral, it's going to be a huge game and one that's going to draw a lot of attention for next week. What's your sort of thoughts?
It's absolutely massive, isn't it? Just it's kind of a wee idiosyncrasy of the way the fixtures have worked out that this is the first meeting between the top two. It actually probably makes things a wee bit more exciting in the running, the way it's kind of worked out, but I just can't call it. It's far too tough for me to make a prediction, I think. Either side could win it, either narrowly or at a canter, depending how it goes. It's genuinely the hardest game to call, I think, that there's been this season so far. What I will predict is, the reason I alluded to the Berwick crowd earlier on, that will be the biggest crowd in non-league this season so far. I'm pretty sure of it. Two brilliant sets of fans. I'd be very, very surprised if there's no 600 plus in attendance at that. And it'll be rocking. So yeah, I'm gonna sit on the fence again, which I tend to do when I can't. I can't force myself to make a prediction.
To be honest, I don't think you're going to be the only one that's sitting on the fence for this one. It's a very difficult one to call, I think.
Although afterwards I will claim that I said the team that won were definitely going to win, you know. But it's just going to have a massive impact on the run-in. So it's probably more important than the second game, I'd say, to put a marker down. And obviously both sides have got really big games in the run, and I think arguably Kelty have got the slightly tougher run of fixtures as we kind of come to a close. So they'll be keen if they can get the 3 points here. That'll be possibly one hand on the trophy, you'd say. But by the same token, Bonnyrigg, if they get the 3 points there, Kelty's get some really tough fixtures coming up straight afterwards. They're going to visit BSC straight after that weekend game there, so it could be really tough for them if they come on off the back of a loss into that game. Who knows? It's just a massive fixture.
Yeah, well, I think they play. I think their game immediately after with BSC, I think, is a cup game. But I don't think that makes it any easier because they've still got to play BSC another 2 times, and that cup game, I think, will have a massive sort of impact on the league games, because there's going to be a bit of bragging rights if BSC can I say upset, but I wouldn't even call it an upset because they're two very good sides. If BSC can go in and win that game, it gives them a bit of bragging rights and a bit of momentum going into the following week, where I think they play in the league straight
That's
after.
Right.
So
it's the cup game followed immediately by the league game, so it's it's
and
a really tough run of games.
I believe the league game might even be in the middle of the week, so these two
You're
sides
right.
are going to face each other in 4 days,
Yep.
and that's going to be immediately after and not long before Bonnyrigg and Kelty face off again. So yeah, really interesting the way that the fixtures have sort of panned out, and it's worth mentioning, along with this Soccer Shop Direct sponsoring the podcast, we've been able to get out a lot more, speak to a lot more people. We were along at East Stirlingshire and spoke to a few of the guys there as well. So Chaplin, which hopefully was quite insightful for people to have a wee listen into. We've got an interview with Alex Ching coming up from Gala, that'll be getting shared out shortly, possibly before this podcast goes out. And then in the build up to this Kelty Bonnyrigg game, we're going to try and speak to both sides and gauge their views on how their seasons are going and what they think of the upcoming game. I'm sure that when we speak to Kelty, they're going to tell us that they're confident they're going to win quite comfortably, and I'm sure Bonnyrigg are going to say exactly the same. But it's going to be interesting to see their views and hear why they are giving themselves, I suppose, the edge in that one. So that'll be coming out before, and like I say, that's largely due to the Soccer Shop Direct sponsorship, and that's allowed us to be able to get out a little bit more and speak to a few more players within the league, which is going to be fantastic to do.
And that is a beautifully round up way of me taking us to the close of the podcast. So again, a massive thank you to the guys at Soccer Shop Direct for sponsoring the pod. If you want to go and find them, it's at the Soccer Shop D on Twitter, and it's all your kind of team wear and football gear needs are covered, based in Rosyth. And obviously you can find us on Twitter as well at official Catchup, and there's all that content Shaun's just mentioned there. There'll be more down the line. There's also an article coming out on the pyramid developments that we're releasing with our friends at Pure Football, and we'll share that out and about as well. But yeah, fire us any feedback on there or on Facebook at Lowland League Catchup. We are on Facebook, and I personally am at Moza Plays 2 Z's. Yourself, Shaun, you're at Spedding Shaun, aren't you?
That's correct, I'm on Twitter there, and we've also got a friend Chris who's at Rampant FM, and you can find all of those Twitter handles along with official SLFL I should say, on our official Catch Up Twitter page as well.
And with that, all that remains is to say thank you very much to all of you for listening, and we will look forward to a bit of a bumper episode next week with the games that are planned, as long as Mother Nature plays her part and gives us a break. Because we've had enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to go and start the recovery, so I'm hopefully in a bit of a better state for next week's podcast and these interviews that are coming up midweek. So, yeah, thanks for having us, Muslim.
Not a problem. Go and get your Calpol. We'll see you next week, and see you then, folks.
Talk to you later.